and Stitch podcast. I am your host, Kristen, and I am here to talk to you about what else? Knitting and all things knitting and yarn related, and occasionally not so knitting and yarn related. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a mostly retired knitting pattern designer, knitting instructor, all-around knitting enthusiast, podcasting to you from my home in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C. When I am not knitting, you can find me sewing, doing yoga, watching baseball, but it's mostly about the knitting, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. All right, so for a change, I actually do have a finished object, but I don't have it here to show you. So I did finally finish the baby bear suit, but it has been delivered to its recipient, so I will go ahead and pop a photo in here. Here is what it ended up looking like when it was all done. Unfortunately, I can't share a photo of baby. We don't want to be sharing other people's children on the internet without, their express written consent. But I have seen a picture and he looks adorable. So I finally finished this up about 2 weeks ago, and spring has disappeared and it is cold again. So hopefully he's actually going to get some wear out of it before the weather warms up. It did end up being a little big on him, which is good. We want big, not small. Especially with something that takes a long time to create. We actually want it to be a little big, so it's going to fit for a little while. So what I ended up doing was legs with no feet, because that way, babies tend to, sort of start out kind of round, and then as they grow taller, they're not quite so pudgy. So a lot of times things, the width is okay, the circumference is okay, but the length is not. So this way, he doesn't have to worry about, it's getting too long for his legs getting too long for it. And in fact, I included the yarn with the project. So if his mom, my sister-in-law, who also knits, does want to, add on a little bit of length, she can do that. I did end up doing the fold over cuffs, which was very simple. And again, they can fold over to keep his hands warm. But once the project gets too long for him, once his arms get too long, they don't have to be folded over anymore. And you could easily kind of unseam the sides of the cuff and just add some more length. So, as I said, I ended up finishing it up about 2 weeks ago. I did not actually have matching buttons for it. So I ended up putting all wooden buttons, but not matching, like all the same size, but I think there was like 2 of each that I had, because I really wanted to get it, because the weather had really started to warm up. So I really wanted to get it to him and I didn't want to wait for buttons. But today it's currently 43 degrees at 2 p.m. So winter has returned, and hopefully he'll be getting some use out of it. So I am very happy to have finally finished that project. It is very cute. So if you were going to make a baby bear suit of your own, you might remember I ended up mashing up 2 projects, or 2 patterns, which was the Bear Me suit by Hip Knits, and then another kind of baby bear suit. It might just be called baby bear suit by Knitting for Olive. If you were going to use one of them, I would recommend the Knitting for Olive, but because the changes that I made that were inspired by the Hip Knits, I probably could have just done on my own without having bought that pattern. So it just had a folded over trim around the hood. That's easy enough, to do on your own. You don't really need a lot of guidance for that. It did have the hand cuffs, but those were really simple. You could figure that out on your own as well. So I liked some of the elements from that pattern, but that pattern is knit from the bottom up, which means you've got to knit the legs first and then the arms and then join everything together. And I don't know about you, but to me that sounded miserable and I would never do that. I can't, if working from the bottom up doesn't bother you, then go ahead and check out that pattern. It's really cute, but if it does annoy you and you don't want to do that, definitely use the Knitting for Olive. I'll include links. Definitely go with the Knitting for Olive pattern and just make some modifications to that. They were both like the same yarn weight, same approximate gauge. So finally, a project off the needles. What else am I working on? So the project I've probably made the most progress on other than that is my, what's this called? Aisle pullover. So I obviously have it split for the body. The body is just about done. I'm just about going to start adding the ribbing to this. It has a split rib, but you know, ribbing, whether you're in the round or flat, is the same. So no big, no big problem there. Actually, last night I was going to start the ribbing and then I realized I just didn't have the needle tips, and I had a really long day yesterday, and like the idea of coming upstairs to my studio to look for the needle tips was just too much for me. So I didn't. But I think I do need to go down a size for the ribbing, and this is a US 10, I want to say. Yeah, 10. I'm not even sure if I have a 9. I think it might actually be in this other project I'm going to show you, so that might be a challenge. I don't use a lot of big needles, so I don't tend to have, you know, I've got multiple like 6 and 7 and 8 needle tips because those are the ones I use the most often, but 9, 10 I hardly ever use. So so this is looking good. I am, again, sad that even though it is officially spring, it is cold. I could be wearing this, but I'm not because I'm slow and it's not making as much progress as I would like, but it is what it is. I am excited to get started on the ribbing. I think this is just going to be really cute, but I am going to keep plugging away at this even while the weather changes, but I think this is really the only one of my winter projects I'm going to keep out right now because I am really getting into the spring mood and the warm weather yarns and things. So I want to keep this going, but some of my other wintry projects I am going to put aside. So again, this is the Aisle Pullover by Brianna Mason and is looking very cute. We'll see. I mean, there have been Maryland sheep and wools where I've had to wear a sweater, and then there have been Maryland sheep and wools where I had to wear shorts and a t-shirt. The weather here from March to May now is just completely unpredictable. So who knows? I might still get some wear out of it. So I am storing this in the bag with my, I also need to throw another ball of yarn in there. Let's do that. Keeping this in the bag with my Great Gingham Raglan, which is one of those projects I'm just going to put on hold for now, but I will show you guys because it's so fallish and I still love this so much. But yeah, there's no reason to keep working on this now. This is, especially with that color work, which is giving you a double thick fabric. And I obviously have a lot of work left to do on it. This is definitely something to set aside until, you know, late in the summer so that it's going to be ready for fall. So another thing I've picked back up, it is still a sweater, but it is a very light sweater. This is my Amelie cardigan. This is a pattern by Mochi Knits. And this is done with 3 strands of lace weight. So it is still, it's a 3 strands of lace weight being knit on a US 9. And you can see it is just really kind of floaty and drapey and will be nice for spring. And even in the summer when, you know, the air conditioning is cranked up or you're running into the grocery store and everything is cold. I think this will be something I want to have around. So I am keeping going with this, thinking of it as more like a spring cardigan. The sleeves, they're supposed to be really big and oversized, but this really looks like a lot. And yeah, so my US 9 needles are in here. That might be a problem for the ribbing of my other sweater. And the thing is, these sleeves are actually so big, I could probably put them on a 16-inch circular needle if I had one, but I don't, because again, I don't use these sizes that much. I know I've got a US 8 circular needle, and you know, it is looking pretty big, so maybe I wouldn't mind going down another needle size to sort of shrink the bottom of the sleeve a little bit. It is really just looking, I mean, that's got to be, so my normal sleeve circumference is usually like probably around 12, maybe 13 inches. This is, yeah, I mean, this is easily probably 7 inches wide. That's going to end up being quite big, especially after blocking. And there's still quite a bit of sleeve left to go. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm only at like elbow length. Maybe I will put it on a US 8. That way I can get this needle to work on my ribbing for the other sweater. And I mean, I'm doing magic loop now, which is fine, but it would probably speed up a lot if I put it on the 16. Something to think about. So this still has a fair bit to go, obviously sleeves, but it also has a really nice and neat button band construction, and then the bottom rib. So I still have a fair bit of work to do, but again, I think this is good for spring and even summer, so we'll keep going on this one. I did start a new pair of socks. I think I showed you guys the yarn, but I didn't think I had started them yet. So this is from Vesper sock yarn, Knitterly Things. The colorway is Sunflowers, and I bought this just from looking at the skein because it's so 70s. Like sort of this avocado and the orange and the brown. It's very 70s. And I still like it, but I'm really disappointed with the green. It doesn't look too bad here on the phone, but these two shades of green are so close to each other, and it's the same here, that it just looks like a blob in the middle, and I don't like it. I wish it were divided up more, you know, with the two shades of green being separated, and it's not. And I could, you know, do one green stripe, cut the yarn, cut out the next green stripe. No, there's no way I'm going to do that. I want this to be a nice, easy, vanilla sock, mindless project. So there's no way I'm going to do that much yarn management, color management for this. But I am, here's some of my hair. We don't need that. But I am just really disappointed with those two green stripes being right next to each other. I just don't think it looks as good, and it's kind of putting a damper on this project for me. I don't know. I mean, I'll keep going with it. You know, it's an easy sock to have on the needles, but disappointed. And then that's, you know, the risk you run when you buy something just based on what the skein looks like. Now for most of her socks, she has like a sample to show you what it's going to look like knit up. And you know, there are really pros to cons to that. Like sometimes you just kind of want to see what's going to happen. You don't want to know ahead of time. But I don't know, I think with a striping yarn like this, there's kind of an assumption that each stripe is going to be very distinct. And with these two greens together, I don't know. If I had known this is what it was going to look like, I probably wouldn't have bought it, to be honest. But, you know, I've already purchased it, and, you know, it'll still make a perfectly functional pair of socks, but it is a little bit of a bummer, I have to say. So I've been working on this slowly. It's, you know, I was kind of hoping maybe the first stripe was a fluke, but no, the colors are just super, super close, and yeah, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? So I have been working on that. And I haven't really started working yet, but I have pulled out some of my warmer weather projects. So I had one here. I do with it? Is this in it? No, it's over here. Okay. And maybe we'll be getting these going again. So this is a test knit I started for Salt and Stone Knits last summer, and then lost a ball of yarn and had to stop, and then found it again, but by then the test knit, you know, was done. And I've done both the front and the back. Just a really nice shaping on this V-neck here. And so then it has two side panels that I'm going to seam on, and I have it started one of the side panels. It just has a little bit of ribbing. But with, well, warm weather was starting, I want to maybe get moving on this again. So what yarn am I using for this? This is a Knitting for Olive. Why are there so many knitting needles in this bag? This is Knitting for Olive's Pure Silk. So I'm using two different colors. The side panels have some kind of stitch colorwork stitch. What is it? It's like a tuck stitch on the sides that's, you know, I'm just going to get a little bit of a difference between these two colors to make it pop, and they're very summery. And I'm really looking forward to be honest, I don't think I have any garments in a silk. I've definitely got some cotton and some linen, but I'm really interested to see what this is going to be like for the spring and the summer. And I really don't have too much left, like I said, just the two side panels, so the major knitting has been done. So that is underway. So that I am hopeful to maybe get moving on again. Was there one more that I had pulled out? I thought I had pulled out another summery project. Nope, I guess that was it. I think I did pull out another summery project, but I don't know what I did with it. I pulled out the Ridgeview tee that I was working on from the Carrie Bloomer. I pulled that out, and then I'm working on it in a wool cotton blend. I think from Brooklyn Tweed, and it's a t-shirt, and I pulled that out. Yeah, because here's my swatch for it. And I don't know what I did with the bag after that. So that's another summery project that I'm maybe going to get moving on now that the weather is hopefully changing. All right, in terms of designing, again, I'm kind of shifting from winter into spring, summer. So I'll show you the sort of more wintry project I've been working on that I'm probably just going to set aside. I've showed you guys this before. It's a neck warmer with a kind of shoulder seam here. And once it's wide enough for the shoulders, I'm just going to start shaping the front sort of in a triangle and leave the back kind of straight and a little bit shorter. So I've been working on this. I really need to put it on a new needle because it's, you can't really see much of anything. It's all crammed on here. And I am thinking now that the shoulder maybe needs just about 1 more inch, and then I'm going to do it. But I think I'm going to set this aside. I'm a little concerned that if I set it aside, I'm going to forget what on earth I was doing, which is always a possibility. Especially when the cat was playing with this, especially when you're as old as I am. Fortunately, that's going to be folded under, so it doesn't matter. But I am really liking the yarn, but it is definitely a winter yarn. So this is Knitting for, I guess I'm on like a Knitting for Olive kick. So this is Knitting for Olive heavy merino, and it's a worsted weight, non-superwash merino. Definitely a wintry yarn. And you know, as I said, it is chilly here today and may still be chilly for a couple of weeks, but by the time I get this finished and the pattern written and test knitting, it's going to be like June, so that would be kind of ridiculous. So I think we'll put this aside probably until, you know, maybe late summer, so that it's coming up for the fall. There is now so much pet fur in everything. It's a real problem. And I suppose I should probably take some notes so that I don't forget what I was doing. Because I really like the idea of this. I think it's going to be really nice to have, especially in early fall when it's hot, it's cold, it's, you know, cold in the morning, and I think that'll be good for that. So putting this aside and switching into warm weather mode. So this is a project I started last summer and put aside. And I'm going to pull this back out. This is, I swear I'm not sponsored by Knitting for Olive. But this is in Knitting for Olive again. So this is an idea for a sleeveless kind of tank top I had, and this is in her Merino cotton fingering. So still a little bit of wool. Definitely not a summer project for here where it gets very humid and hot, but maybe a spring project. And I know since it's not, you know, done, it's sort of hard to see what's going on, but it's got a straight body. Then we've got some armhole shaping. This is going to sit high up on the neck. This is going to, you know, curve under the arm. And in the front, down the front, we have this nice, what is called dip stitch, which I think looks really cute and is going to look even cuter when it's blocked. And then you can hopefully see, there we go. This has been, the top edge has been folded over. So it's kind of seamed here on the back. And this is actually a hole. There's a hole in here. And I'm going to put an I-cord through it. And so then the I-cord is going to attach to, it's going to go through the front and have little ties up here, and then ties from the back are going to come around and do the same thing. So that's the front. I have not done the back. And, well, this is as long as the I-cord is. So. Oh, I-cord it is not fun. I am not a fan. I mean, I love the way I-cord looks. I am not a fan of knitting long I-cords. They just take forever and they're so boring. So this is a 4-stitch I-cord apparently. And I don't know why it's off the needle. But let's put it back on. So I suppose I could make life easier for myself and just knit the back and then worry about knitting the 2 I-cords at the very end. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about the shaping on the style I want for the back, so I'm just kind of procrastinating and instead working on this I-cord, or at least I was in the summer, and then it became fall, so I just put it away. But I think it is time to bring it back out. This fabric is really nice and drapey. I believe it's a 50-50 merino cotton, but still nice and airy. So the I-cord is on a US 4. Do I know what I knit the body on? No, I hope I wrote it down somewhere. I guess we'll see. I mean, it's nice and drapey, so maybe a 5. But gosh, I hope I wrote it down somewhere. Oh dear. But I think it's going to be really cute. We shall see. I'm going to hopefully get moving on it so that, you know, maybe a pattern is actually released at the time of year that people might want to wear it. It's a crazy idea. So there's that. I had started and then quickly ripped out this with this yarn. This is a solo, whatever it's called, solo fingering, I think from Magpie Fibers in the Dream Beaver colorway. Really nice and springy pinks with some other little pops in there. Is that focusing? There we go. So springy with some other little colors, pops of color in there, nice and pink. And I had started on the ribbing at the bottom and just dramatically miscalculated. So you think you can see This is supposed to be kind of A-line shaped, and the ribbing was pulling in too much. I really want the ribbing to be more decorative. I don't want it to cinch in. So I just didn't think it through when I cast on like a whim. So I've already ripped that out. You can see I've got the tail wrapped around the outside, but I am planning to try it again. Maybe this time I'll try doing some actual math and not just guessing. So the idea in this, I had originally said split ribbed hem, but I don't actually want to knit 2 pieces of ribbing and then join them together. So no, I'm just gonna do a regular ribbed hem. Then some here, I was originally thinking a cable, but I think I want to go more simple and maybe just do 1 or 2 lateral braids, and then the rest is just kind of a plain stockinette, nice and drapey, A-line shape, tapering off to ties at the top of the shoulders. So again, this is really kind of a spring piece here because wool is not for summer here, but it could be for summer in other places. I think this would also be nice in that merino cotton, so you maybe get a little bit more wear out of it. It'll also be a nice layering piece. So we'll just see how it goes, you know, as I have pointed out a number of times. I don't do this as a job anymore. It's just for fun. So there's no deadlines. If it doesn't get done, it's not the end of the world. I still enjoy doing it. It's just, there's so much else going on, and other like jobs that, you know, kind of pay the bills. So sometimes it has to go by the wayside. But that is the few design projects that I am working on. All right, guys, we need to have a serious discussion. What the hell is going on with this emotional support chicken? Where did this thing come from? Why is everybody knitting one? Why do I feel like I have to knit one, even though, what am I gonna do with this thing? Do I need an emotional support chicken? No. I can't remember the last time I knit a stuffy. It must have been when my kids were babies. But this thing is everywhere. Everyone is knitting it or has knit it. And it's like knitting peer pressure is coming for me. And look, you can see I bought the pattern. But why did I buy the pattern? I don't know. What is going on with this? So if you have knit or thinking about knitting or have any very strong opinions either way about the emotional support chicken, please leave a comment. I would love to hear it. Because I don't know, I bought this pattern and then I thought, wouldn't this be really cute? Like, it would look like one of those little dappled chickens. This would be really cute. This is just some Simply Wool twist from Knit Picks that I happen to have in my stash. I bought it on a whim just because I like the marled look. But now I was like, wow, this would be really cute for a chicken. I don't need a chicken. And then as I had the page up on my computer, just kind of checking it out, my son came in and was like, oh, if you make one, can I have it? So more pressure to knit an emotional support chicken, and I don't know why I am drawn to knitting this, even though this is not my kind of pattern at all. Like I said, I have no idea when the last time I knit a stuffy was. I don't even like chickens that much. Like, I know there are people out there who are like chicken people and they raise chickens and they love their chickens, and I don't have anything against chickens, but I have no desire to like have a pet chicken. If I had chickens then for eggs, I think that would be nice, but like, I don't, you know, you see people, especially on Instagram, when you're just doing the mindless scrolling, people got their chickens and they're petting them and they're snuggling them. No, I like pets, but not chickens. Yet I don't know. For some reason, I feel compelled to make this chicken. This is how peer pressure works. You know? I don't know. So I'm certainly, again, I've bought the pattern. And I do have a volunteer to adopt the chicken if I decide to make it. Yarn in my lip gloss. Okay. But I'm really looking for some opinions about the chicken. Why is it so tempting, even though this is not my usual kind of project? What is going on with this chicken? How did this happen? Where did it come from? Where did this start? I don't remember the first place I saw it. I think it was somebody on Instagram. And then it was like one day I saw one person, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere. Everybody's doing it. Everybody needs an emotional support chicken. I don't know. I mean, like, of all the things I'm going to spend my time doing, why am I tempted to even pretend I'm going to do this? But this yarn really would be cute though, wouldn't it? It's so chickeny. I don't know. Please leave your thoughts on the emotional support chicken. I don't know what's going on. All right, I don't really have any new yarn to show you. I did get yarn, but I got some yarn for kind of a spontaneous project that I've decided I wanted to try, and a video is going to be coming up in a few weeks. I was at Joann's trying to match thread for my Easter dress, and which was a problem in and of itself. And then now, as it turns out, Joann's going bankrupt, so I guess that's why they can't be bothered to have things in stock. And I suddenly thought, why don't I try buying yarn here? I've never bought yarn at Joann's. I have not bought yarn at Michael's since probably in the early days of when I started knitting back in 2007, because I don't have to, which is fortunate for me. You know, I live in a place, I mean, we have a wool festival here every year. We have a number of local yarn stores. Everybody ships to where I live, you know, so I don't have the kind of limitations that other people sometimes have. And I thought, after doing my reel about not using acrylic, I thought, let's see what's actually here. So I went to Joann's, and I was already there, and I decided to shop for yarn. And then another day I went to Michael's to see what they had, and it wasn't much. So a video will be coming up on that about what I did find. I want to get a chance to actually try the yarns out first. So I'm not going to show them to you today. And instead we'll just do a little chatterbox. It has been, Easter is in a week. For some reason, I told my husband I would make him a shirt. I got the fabric, I got the pattern, I've cut out the pattern pieces, but I need to get moving. And I'm not even done my dress. My dress is almost done. You just sew the side seams and hem it and put some buttons on it. So that's not too big of a deal, but I've got to get moving. But it has just been like, kids are sick, and then a job I applied for like months ago. It's not like a real job. That's not what I want to say. It is a job. It is a freelance position, working as a part-time in-house translator for an organization. I'd applied for it months ago and never heard anything, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh yeah, we're still doing this." So I've had like 2 interviews. It's a lot of hoops to jump through for freelance, but with everybody kind of shifting to AI and machine translation, getting a sort of getting some steady work at a decent rate is getting harder and harder. So I am willing to do it. Also, just it sounds like a good organization I'd like to be part of. It's a press agency or journalism agency. So there was like just like a couple of interviews for that, and like a training thing, and it was just, and then I got somebody from Instagram actually had referred me to a colleague a couple of months ago about translation, and then that, I assume that person, or that it was a law firm, referred me to somebody else, because I got contacted by another law firm in the same area. They had a project for me, and again, I'm not in a position to be turning down translation work, well paid, decently paid translation work these days. So I have been busy with that, and then yesterday morning at like 6:30, so like I'm awake, but I'm just in bed pretending I don't have to get up. My dad starts texting and calling, and he's had chest pain, so I need to, and then not just that, he is currently watching my sister's dogs because my sister is on a work trip in Texas. So I need to jump out of bed, drive up there, take him to the hospital, get him settled in the ER, go back to his house, take care of my sister's dogs, try to finish this translation project because it's due at 5 o'clock. Basically get that done, walk the dogs, clean up after the dogs, feed the dogs, go back to the hospital to see my dad. They've admitted him. He's actually fine. They can't find anything wrong with him, but they want to keep him for observation. I finally come back home, actually submit the translation. I didn't, I mean, there's no reason I have to. My husband is perfectly capable of putting my children on the bus in the morning, but I wasn't there for that, so I wanted to be home when the kids got home. So yesterday was a day. It was a day. And it just has kind of been like that for the last, it was like everything just all at once. So it has been a busy few weeks, and now somehow it is almost April. But like I said, Dad is fine. He's going to be discharged this afternoon. My sister, even though we all told her it wasn't necessary, decided to fly back from Texas. So she's going to, pick him up from the hospital and take him home. We are still watching her cat. So that was the other thing, is we're watching her cat. My dad is watching her dogs. And if she hadn't come back, I would have had to take her 2 dogs, who are Chihuahuas, home with me. And then we would have had 3 cats, 3 dogs. That I'm not sure that my sanity would have withstood that, but everything has worked out, and hopefully things are calming back down. Things have just been a little busy, a little crazy. And then on top of that, kids, IEP meetings, school events, somebody's sick. I had a sick kid home on Monday, a sick kid home last Friday. It's a wonder I get any knitting done at all. I don't know. Fortunately, my sister is going to be picking her cat up tomorrow. Not that the cat is, she's a very sweet cat and quiet, but I already have 2 cats and a dog, and my old cat doesn't even like my new cat, so she definitely doesn't like my sister's cat. And our newer cat, I think, kind of wants to be friends with my sister's cat, but also is feeling like a little jealous and territorial. And my dog, I know, wants to be friends with the cat, but she has no chill. She cannot calm down. So as soon as she sees the cat, she's like jumping around, and she's so excited. And of course the cat's terrified and just runs away. So we just got too much going on here. So that is basically what has been going on around here. Not nearly enough knitting. For some reason, March has just been sort of a crazy month. And I am also kind of dithering on whether, so right now I'm doing my Swatch Scholar Challenge, which I do every year, which is just like a 5-day free challenge to get people to master the basics of swatching. And usually after that, I open up enrollment for my Swatch Master e-course. So I have an independent study version of that. You can sign up for any time. And then I usually have a live version once a year, which is just a little bit more interactive. There's more interaction with me and with your fellow students. I'm kind of dithering on whether I want to actually do the live one this year. I do usually have, a handful of students, but that's about it. And I'm just not sure if I'm going to try to make the space for that this year, or maybe just, the independent study version is there. I'll still do my sweater course in the summer. But I'm just not sure if I really have the bandwidth to run the live course, especially for just like a handful of students. So I don't know. We'll see about that. If it runs, it will be next month. But I'm not sure about that. You can always check out the independent study version, which, especially if you prefer to learn things at your own pace and not talk to people, is a good option. assuming you want to learn more about swatching and gauge and how they impact your projects. And then for some reason this morning I decided to apply for a test knit. I don't know why. I mean, the pattern was nothing, it was a nice sweater, but it wasn't anything like super outstanding. I think it was the yarn that she used as a yarn I've been wanting to try. So I just kind of on a whim filled out the form, and I'm not sure if I am hoping to get selected or not. It's a worsted weight gauge. It's a very, like I said, a relatively plain sweater. It has some nice details, but the actual fabric is almost all stockinette. It's probably doable, but do I need to add something else to my plate? I'm sure I do not. Why? Why did I do that? I don't know. Other than that, we haven't really been going anywhere or doing anything. You know, we went to Peru last year, so we're not going to Peru this year. My mother-in-law thinks we should all go on a cruise. Like she has 4 kids and all have kids of their own. I think that, I don't know about other people's kids, but I don't think my kids are going to enjoy, I think they will enjoy a cruise in theory. In practice, I don't think it's going to work out. So I don't think that's going to be happening. So we don't really have any plans to be going anywhere until the summer and summer vacation. So we're not doing anything on spring break other than hanging out at home and, I don't know, maybe catching up on work and chores. We're not very exciting people. That is just a little snapshot of things that have been going on in my life over the last couple of weeks. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of the podcast. Links to everything that I've talked about can be found in the description box down below. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New videos, 99% knitting related, every Saturday. If you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Mania Peruana. I will see you next time.